In today's video, I want to talk about WordPress.com announcing their new Studio Assistant inside the Studio app, which I've covered before on the channel. It's a great way to spin up WordPress sites locally on your Mac or PC and work with WordPress without having to host a website somewhere. And then there's a obviously direct connection to WordPress.com if you want to launch these sites hosted on WordPress.com or even have temporary sites that you can show off to clients or other folks that you're working with. It'll host temporary sites on WordPress.com. It's a fairly intuitive app. It works pretty flawlessly, as you would expect to launch websites inside of your browser. But now they're getting into the AI game on the Studio side. It's called the Studio Assistant. I'm going to highlight some of the features here in this announcement post. It says, why you'll love Studio Assistant, you can speak to the assistant in any language and it'll respond in the same language. The assistant gives you the ability to open site files with just one click, so you won't need to go digging into your sites manually. And the assistant uses context about your site, your specific site, like which themes and plugins are installed. So sort of painting the picture of this, really intuitive AI chatbot. And I should also preface this with these are very early days, literally just saw the announcement a few hours ago, but it gives us some bullet points here that says ask and discover, code and code content blocks written for you, tailored to your site. There's a lot of illustration here to say like, oh, this thing is going to be really powerful. And then I started to use it. Now, I asked it some questions. I'm not going to type it all in here because that makes for boring videos, but here's the first one. I asked, can you update this website to the latest nightly build of WordPress? And the result was to go and install the WordPress beta tester plugin. So immediately right there, if I was somebody who is, very experienced, I, would love an AI tool like this to quickly say, put this one to the nightly build so I can start testing things. But now it's asking me to log into that WordPress site and install the beta plugin. Well, just like I sometimes have chats with other AI prompts, I'll ask it to, well, maybe you can just go and install that plugin for me. Like if you're not going to do it with that one request, maybe I'll just prompt you again. And then it says, no, so sadly, I can't install plugins for you. That's when it became a little bit more challenging for me. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe it's just too generic of a request. Maybe I have to get a little bit more specific. So I said, well, or maybe with a more popular plugin, it will recognize it and install that. Maybe it's not recognizing the beta plugin and stuff like that. So I said, can you install the Yoast plugin for me? Same thing. It gives me a little bit more of a detailed response here, but it's asking me to go to my admin dashboard and install the plugin Yoast by searching for Yoast SEO and then clicking on install now and then activating. And then, well, maybe Jetpack. Nope, sadly, that doesn't install either, which is weird because in their demo video, they do show you typing in the prompt to install the Jetpack plugin, and seemingly it does it. Maybe that's in a future version. Okay, so where is it really working as far as I can tell right now? I'd imagine it's really working when you can pair it up with something that might be more of a WP CLI command. So I prompted it to show me which users are actively installed on this site. There's just one, and it's running the WP CLI command to show us the WP user list. And it is kind of beneficial if you're somebody who's like heavily using WP CLI to manage sites, to be able to hop in here and run that command through the AI, see it right here in the browser, and then maybe you can copy or open up in terminal if you want to do some deeper diving. But not all is lost. I think where this is really going to start to work is on the custom coding and development side. Scrolling down through some of my questions to the AI assistant, I said, can you code me a Gutenberg block, and I actually misspelled block, that has 3 columns, and in each column, stack an image, header, and button block. This is where I think the future of WordPress is still in Studio. I've talked about this in another video or a blog post where we're going to get to a place where you're natively designing and developing, possibly leveraging AI here in the Studio app, and then launching your WordPress websites into the cloud, let's say. Largely going to be locked into WordPress.com, I'd imagine, but with a lot of the uncertainty in WordPress hosting these days, who knows if they partner up with other web hosts to launch your WordPress websites onto other web hosts right through the native app. here's the code it created for me. Again, I'm not going to show you how I did all of this in the terminal because it's largely boring and a lot of just waiting for this stuff to compile and running all these commands. But it gives me the ability to create my own plugin to launch this block. And this block will be 3 columns with image, text, and a button stacked. So it gives me all the code. I run exactly what it tells me to run in my browser. I npm install it, npm run the build. It gives me a folder with that plugin in it, and I zip up that plugin folder and I send it off to my WordPress website. And it is quite interesting to see this all come together. Let's bring that browser into view. I have the plugin, My3 Column Block, that I prompted it to create as the plugin name. It's version 0.1. It says by the WordPress contributors. I'm sure I could dive into that code and modify the README, so all of this stuff is much more in tune to what I'm developing here. But we'll go to a page and we'll add this block to a page. Let's get that out of the way. And we'll search for it. I'm just going to type in my because that's what it's called. There's My3 Column Block. Got the little preview right there. We'll click into it. Get that out of the way. And here's the block. It made it for me. It is 3 columns with the image, the heading, and the button. All of this stuff you'll see right here in the list view is properly, organized, named with My3 Column Block. It pulls a little icon in here. All this stuff is locked. I can unlock it so that I can start to modify it. But that was a pretty painless experience. And with all of the rough edges that I experienced with the assistant, asking it what I would consider like some real simple site management stuff, updating, installing, activating plugins or themes. It didn't do that, not yet. But for this even more advanced, like coding a WordPress block plugin, it was fairly straightforward. And it kind of nailed it, which is really exciting to see. I know there's other AI tools out there. I'm not a developer. I've tried using them before, but I was never able to whip up a plugin as fast as I was able to using the AI assistant inside of Studio. Now, I might look at this and say, how can I bring this to a platform like Claude or ChatGPT and really expand upon this? Like maybe even start to analyze the code that AI, the Studio Assistant, is giving me and seeing how that matches up against these other AI services like a Claude or like a ChatGPT. I'm sure WordPress.com is using one of those services, if not many, to help train their model. Is that even what they're doing? Training their own model amongst this stuff. But pretty interesting, I'd say. And I can manage this just like I can any other block. I mean, it's using all the core built-in blocks. I'm sure if I started to ask it to do more complex things, maybe I would run into a situation with that. But this is, trending in the right direction for somebody who's a non-developer and wanted to make something. Now, it wasn't for the faint of heart doing all this other stuff, installing Node.js and running all of this in the terminal. I don't think the average user or even the power user might get into this game of copy pasting code and running it in the command line, zipping it all up and uploading it to your site. It will be great when this is all natively done right here in my little Studio app. Like if it took that plugin, made it all right here in the native app and installed it in my temporary site, I could play with it, test it out, and then ship it off to my production site. I mean, that's where I think all of this stuff is headed. Pretty fun, pretty exciting, a little scary, not going to lie. If you're interested in checking this out, you can run 200 prompts for free. That's another reason why I didn't run any here, because I just want to keep testing this stuff and I want to run out of the free prompts. You can run it for 200 prompts for free a month on a free WordPress.com account. Let me know what you think. What other AI tools are you using to develop plugins? But have you checked out Studio yet? Have you checked out Studio with the new AI assistant? I'll link it up in the show notes below. Check it out. Thumbs up if you like the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you want more. How's WordPress for you these days? Let me know. Talk to me in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.